rock.
I find that me and Braden struggle a lot anymore with how to like start. We put a lot of
I
stock.
figured that'd be the easiest part. Didn't we talk about this last time, where it's just like let rolling dialogue into it and exist?
Yeah, probably. But we always try to do a little something first, and it's really starting to hurt us. So
You put too much weight on the introduction.
yes, and then once we get going, we're fine. But it's like, why did we do all that? So anymore.
Well, isn't that the running joke of every YouTube video where the like person who's just been doing it for a million years always like looks at the camera and be like, I never know how to start this thing. Like that used to be such a trope. Like it's just you don't know how to start the media.
And it used to be that we could start it all the time, and like we would just go. But I think like that only stays strong for a few episodes, and then it's like,
isn't that that's one of those oh god, what do they call them? Like those knowledge pitfalls, like the one where you like think you've become a master of it, but then you realize the more you learn, the less you actually know until you actually spend years doing the thing. I think that's called the Bader-Meinhof effect. And then there's another one where it's like when you start, you just do it. But the minute you start to realize that like, oh, there's structure and I want to impose structure, you freeze.
Yeah.
It's like you have to go back to that like original concept of being like, nah, just do it.
Yeah.
Just fucking go.
yeah.
Stop overanalyzing even though you've grown. Don't let your process grow.
I like that. I like that a lot. I'm gonna keep this because that, my friend, was some solid nerd shit if I've ever heard it. Like, honest to God. So we're keeping that. And with that, welcome back everybody to the shittiest podcast on the internet, Nerd Shit in the Dark. Now, yes, it's good to be back. And this week, I'm your host, Chase the Chaz Skripek. And Braden the Brad Nielster, he is a little busy with his life right now. He's moving, so he wasn't able to be on today. But luckily, an old friend of the show, who's been on a couple times now, decided to come and give me a hand, so I'd have something to put up this week. Give it up for Caton the Weasel, Weezner.
Weasel. I was wondering if you go with the Weasel. I wasn't sure what you'd do there.
I liked it
but
too
ever
much.
since you told me, I did have to go back after you told me that was mentioned.
Did you hear?
One of my favorite intros ever.
It was
Made
very
me laugh
funny, yeah.
for 5 minutes when I heard it, because I don't think I heard it at the time.
And he says it in such a Weasley voice. He's just like, the Weasel.
It was kind of like below the pickup of the microphone. But I am excited to be back. I was wondering when we'd get back together and have some nerd shit chats, so I am excited that the opportunity presented itself, and I'm glad that it actually worked out so easily in terms of let's just get it done, right? Like, hey, you want to do this? Yeah, let's do it Wednesday. Let's talk.
Yeah. Me too, man, because I was a little nervous. I was like, I don't think I'm going to get anything recorded if this doesn't work. Because I honest to God couldn't think of anybody else to ask. I was just like, especially with some of the things I want to talk about today. I'm just like, do I really want to talk about this stuff with that? Like other people that might not be as into it. So, and luckily I know you have nerd shit to talk about.
Of course, I'm sure that we can always come up with brand new stuff to talk about.
I see Pikachu right in the background.
Oh yeah, he's back there. He's in the pile still. He's holding up the fort. He's got a birthday dinosaur hanging out on his head. But
he looks good.
He's doing well. Also, my brother got me a 3D printed lightsaber hilt for Christmas. So I don't know if you could actually see that, but that's Pikachu's holding that actually.
Oh, okay.
It's just a little. It's like the hilt that I got to put together. He got it for me in a box. This is some weird tangent on some new nerd shit here.
No, that's cool. That's cool.
I got
that's what we're here for.
He 3D printed me all the pieces for a hilt, and then he handed me a shoebox full of 3D pieces and said, "Construct your lightsaber hilt."
Oh.
And I got to put it together, like pieces screwed together. They slid into place. They clicked into place. And then once you were all done, it's just a 3D printed piece of plastic. So there's really no motion. There's no lights. It's really cool, though. I got to put it together. It was cool.
Damn, Seed. That's a good fucking gift.
Yeah, man. He's just like, you get to finally put... And I've got a wall of lightsabers over here. For a while, I was thinking about doing something for a blade so it would match the other two, even though it probably wouldn't light up, but then I'd have 3 on my wall and they'd all look sick. So, yep, I had to point out the lightsaber. I actually forgot until I turned around to see Pikachu there.
Yeah, no, it's perfect. everything about it is exactly what we're here to just talk about. This is everything he just told me wasn't anything for the show, shitters. This is just casual, our lives.
This is our dialogue. This is how we talk to one another.
So that's why you're the perfect guest host for tonight's episode.
I appreciate that.
Cannot wait I cannot wait to tell you about one thing in particular. But
Okay.
But I am gonna wait because
Okay.
it is a rule on this show that when we have guests on or guest hosts that they present their new nerd shit, at least one of their new nerd shits first. I like to give it up for coming on.
Hell yeah.
Give you something to talk
I'm down
about.
to talk about one. So I've actually got one that's going to harken back to my first new nerd shit, all the way back in the Star Wars episode.
Oh shit!
But yeah, so I recently got into kind of re-earthing through some older Legend of Zelda games, and some of the ones that I often feel are slept on and really not talked about a whole lot are the two that came out for Game Boy Color, being Ocarina of Oracle of Ages
Yeah.
and Oracle of Seasons.
Yeah.
Not Ocarina of Time, which is very annoying in how close it is to the name of Oracle of Ages and Oracle of Seasons.
Yeah.
But I just got through playing both of these. I played them again on the Virtual Console on Switch. And what was really nice is they were so innovative. They get those codes. They were so innovative in the way that they actually told an extra long story broken up onto two places with two completely different individual stories, and then they brought them back and forth with that connection code aspect where if you had one cartridge, you could take a code from the other after beating the first game, take it to the second one, and then vice versa.
Yeah.
Unlock a lot of items that you would never get on a standard playthrough. That's how you got things like the Master Sword, the Mirror Shield. You would get extra bombs, extra seeds. You would get bomb shoes.
I think the big Goron sword is gotten through the codes too, if I'm not mistaken.
It ends at level 3, which is the Master Sword in that game.
Yeah, Big Goron sword's a different sword.
The Big Goron, it's a different item. You're right, I forgot. And it takes up both of your spots with your AB weapons, which really kind of makes it useless in that game. That being said, really cool gimmick, a lot of fun to play with. But yeah, so I mean, just bringing that up, I had forgotten how good of traditional Zelda games they are. They're puzzle-based dungeon crawlers. Ugh. They are, map that opens with every new item that you get. They do end with a finale where you see Zelda, even though she's really not a main character in either one of the games independently. She comes back. She's a role. You have Twin Rova reawakening the Mad Beast Ganon.
Man, that's
like they have all of these things together where, as a whole, if you take one of them, it's a fun game. It's a good game. They've got their own end bosses. It's awesome. But then as together, like as I'm playing through them, I'm just like, damn, Nintendo didn't get a lot of props. Actually, it was Capcom. Which I find even more wild.
Yeah.
But like Capcom and Nintendo, they kind of sleep on this. And I know one of the big complaints is the menuing more than annoying, because you have to go in, constantly switch what's A, what's B. People get really annoyed about that.
It's a piece from its time. It's a piece from its time.
Right. What did you want them to do when it comes to a Game Boy Color with 2 buttons, right? Yeah. No, I agree. Yeah. But I know that they get slept on a lot because people won't... They're mentioned in the Hyrule Historia, but like... I just think that people are like, okay, they didn't really get remastered until they were available on the Switch Virtual Console.
Yeah.
So when you put all that together, they just kind of get like lessened a little bit. But yeah, I replayed them. I wanted to talk about them because the first time I came on, we were actually talking about Tears of the Kingdom, and it's just funny because now I'm bringing nothing but Zelda.
That's fine.
New nerd shit.
That is absolutely fine with me because Oracles of Ages itself is one of my top 5 favorite Zelda games. Both those games were big in my childhood. Like I played the fuck out of those games, man.
I remember having to go to my neighbors to like get clarification on certain parts because they would have Ages, and then we would trade, and he'd get my copy of Seasons, and like we'd go back and forth, and then I'd get to a puzzle in Ages, or he'd come to me with a puzzle in Seasons and be like, I don't get it. And yeah, not only was there like a hella nostalgia factor because that was peak Game Boy Color season for me. In fact, it was like one of the final Game Boy Color games released, period. End of story. Came out in 2001. They both came out the same time, and they were kind of the tail end of like that popular time of Game Boy. The Advance had just recently come out. So yeah, things weren't coming out for Game Boy Color. So it really is like a culmination of the color schemes, the technology, the puzzling, the Zelda back and forth with the codes, like so many really cool things, and I don't think a lot of people talk about them, so it was cool to revisit.
And you gotta give them props, especially with just the technology that they had to work with to make those games as good as they were. I mean, if you think about it, Oracles of Ages or Seasons just in themselves have the same magnitude of like a full Zelda game like Like, say, what's the Super Nintendo one? I'm fucking blanking.
Link to the Past. Link to the Past, yeah.
Link to the Ages.
Damn, I'm like fucking in it right now.
No. But like, you know what I mean? Like, and it was a Game Boy Color game on this, like, you know, definitely not as strong as a Super Nintendo piece of technology, but they made these full games that then connected and became a bigger game.
And had 2 maps to each one, because what I don't know if you remember, but you had the past and the present for ages.
And then the different seasons and seasons.
You had the different seasons and the whole Subrosian underlevel, which had its own map and exploration and unlocks. In fact, the 8th castle in Oracle of Seasons actually takes place in that other world, and they don't even like let you know that until the very end.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, you're right. They did so many cool things for some really innovative, fun Zelda games. It really inspired me to like, I just want to go back and play a bunch of old ones. Like, I want to go recomplete Link to the Past. I want to go knock out, like, I don't know if I'm going to go back and do like 1 and 2, but like I would go play Ocarina of Ocarina of
whatever the fuck their names are.
I'm done with the
Ocarina of
They're
Twilight Princess.
No, Ocarina of Wind Spirit Tracks.
If you're digging the one that if you're digging, which we are, the Oracle games, Capcom made another Zelda game for Game Boy Advance called Minish Cap. It's one of my favorites.
I think that's actually
it's
also
on
the virtual console. So I did see that, and I've never played any of those Toon Link style handhelds. Because I think there's a couple, like there's Four Swords, there's Minish Cap, and then
there's a couple on the DS. I don't know if Capcom made those ones.
I did play one of those. What were they? There were Spirit Tracks and Phantom Hourglass. I played Phantom Hourglass.
I had Spirit Tracks.
I think Clancy actually had Phantom Hourglass.
Those ones were interesting. Because you played with like the stylus to swing your sword.
You moved with the stylus. You like drug like a little floating Navi in directions, and that's how Link moved.
Yeah.
And they
Not
were
like
unique.
That on Minish
I don't know if I would have went back and did them, but they were unique. They were cool.
It's like playing Skyward Sword now. I'm just like, I don't want to pretend like I have a sword in my hand. Can I just use a controller?
Well, didn't they re-release that and remove the ability? Like, now you don't have to play it that way anymore?
You don't, but it sucks. So you still should. Like, I have it for my Switch, and like I tried, and I was like, no. Because it still needs you to like swing a controller, and I'm just like, no, I'll just pretend like I'm fucking, 32 years old, and I have a fake sword and shield in my hand.
That is one game that I never played because by the time I had got access to a Wii, I think I just moved on from it. And to be honest, I think I would have also been, truthfully, a little off-put about the sword mechanic. I don't think I would have rushed into that as a way of playing. So
it was cool for its time, but...
Yeah, I don't know if I'd do it now. Even if you said, like, no, you should be playing with emotion controls, like, I'd be like, I don't know. It's hard for me to say.
How many things can I convince you to do?
True.
But you should... I think you should play Minish Cap just because, like... And honestly, dude, did you play for Switch the
Link's Awakening remaster?
Link's Awakening remake?
That was fantastic. Yes, I did.
Loved the fuck out of it.
That was so good.
I want them to make Oracles and Ages and Seasons like that.
The same way.
I thought that's 100%. What they were going to do.
That would be so nice if they would do that. In fact, actually, Leah asked me, she was like, why hadn't these been remade? Like I was telling her the story pretty much the same way I told you about playing them as kids. And she's like, well, they remaster everything. And I'm like, right? Like they do.
They sure do.
Why have they not picked up these guys?
It's because Nintendo doesn't remaster everything. That's the problem. And especially one of their games that isn't technically theirs, they have to tap out and be like, well, people do like these. And the problem is, only people who play them like them. Because like you said, people don't give them a chance. Like, they don't know. If you're new to Zelda...
if there's a market to remaster and sell, because, But then again, it's got a Zelda name on it, man. I'm telling you.
It would sell. Well, it's old enough that people, like kids with Switches, have never played the Game Boy game. So they would buy it for their Switch. That being said, I'm so excited for... Echoes of Wisdom? Is that the new Zelda game coming out?
I don't know. They've given us a verb and then a preposition and then a noun. It's gonna be a meme. I can't wait.
When I saw it was in the style of that Link's Awakening remake, I was like, okay. And it was Zelda being the main character. I was like, all right, let's go. So it's on my radar. I'm totally getting it day one and gonna.
Actually, I think it might be one of the few games that are on my radar as well. Funny enough, because I'm just excited about a new Zelda game, especially one that may goes back to more traditional Zelda values that don't, not the Tears of the Kingdom style. love the shit out of that game. It's just
Sure.
it's not dungeons. It's not as puzzly.
Yeah. It's lacking, even though it's a perfect game, it's lacking. It's a perfect game for what its type of game is.
It is. As a contained game, it is great, but part of me would also say, like, I hope that doesn't become the template.
You can give us both. You can absolutely give us both. And
well, I mean, going back to the DS stuff, too, right? Like, drawing with a stylus or wing, you know, swinging a sword.
Yeah, they had fun.
They've explored. I just hope that they don't... I hope that they don't derive excessive value from the amount of people that bought both of Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom.
Yeah, no, because that would be ludicrous, especially with Zelda being the main character. Like, that probably turned off some fucking dipshits.
Idiots, yeah. I'm sure... I try to avoid those alleyways of the internet, but I'm sure that somewhere there was a entire community that was up in arms.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
I figured it was about time she finally got to be in a video game with her namesake on it for how many years,
I was just thinking and watching like a video on the idea. Somebody like said something in a video that made my brain go this way, but I was like, man, if they ever decided to end this thing, they should end it with a big game where you play as Zelda that brings everything together so that when she saves the day, that's why they're all called The Legend of Zelda.
They were The Legend of Zelda. Wow.
This game is not that, clearly.
Well, not only
like,
that,
it's not
I hope
be
it
that.
doesn't happen. I mean, the truth is, like, I hope we're not. I am 32 years old. I hope this is not the end for The Legend of Zelda.
And it wouldn't be. But they do things so sporadically and kind of out of order anyway that they could end it and then... You know what I mean? Skyward Sword is like the last game before Breath of the Wild in the canon, and it's technically the first game. Yeah. So yeah.
Actually, I had to revisit a couple of those timelines. I didn't realize
they're crazy, dude. They
tried to redo it after because they did the Hyrule Historia one back in whatever that was, like 13 or earlier, 2013 or earlier. I can't remember.
Something like that.
Then they did another one in 2017, 18, where they like added in a couple of things, but.
Sure.
I had to look at it again because I was like, where are the Oracle of Seasons and Ages supposed to fall? And yeah, kind of actually, they're the beginning of one of the tendrils after the Ocarina of Time ending. I think it's the bad Link ending or the bad Ganon ending.
Did What You See have Tears of the Kingdom in its chronology? No. I've been wondering where everything goes once that's put in place. I just feel like there's a lot going on story-wise.
I heard that somebody tried to make one, I think, on the subreddit where they added in things like Hyrule Heroes, Breath of the Wild, and Tears of the Kingdom. And the way that somebody kind of justified it was that, I'm guessing that this was them just struggling to actually piece it together, but they called it a side path off of one of the existing paths, and they put in like, this is 100 years out of this because of this. And it's like, you took a stretch there, but I see what you're going for. So I don't know. I don't think Nintendo's ever spoken dramatically on it.
No,
then again, I guess I've also heard that they just ignore what they print. So maybe the timeline is just bullshit.
Nintendo is making fun video games. They are not worried about how the stories
the lore. They're like, fuck if we care about the lore.
It's ridiculous.
Only you nerds want the lore.
And it's truly that. And they're basically saying that. Like, they're basically saying that to us with every game they make. And I'm fine with it.
Yeah,
Tears of the Kingdom might have been one of the best fucking video games I've ever played in my life. So
there was nothing. There was like that. In fact, I actually just restarted playing it just for fun because I was like, I don't think I beat all the side quests. Fun. And just getting back into like doing all the side quests and shit, I'm like, God, this game is fun. God damn,
it's just fun to play. I could go all day about how Nintendo really capitalizes on the fact that they make games that are just fun to play. And that's why they're still in the game.
I think that a lot of people struggle with that. I think a lot of people are like, I can't be mad, but I also, like, you see people review games, right? And they're just like, this game isn't good. And I'm like, but it's Nintendo. It is actually great because they made what they make again, and they make good stuff. But you're right. Like, if you want innovative, if you want cutting edge, if you want top tier graphics, what have you, like, you got to remember who you're talking about here. You can't review McDonald's with a Michelin star restaurant guide. They're different guides. Like, you can't, you can't compare them. So
yeah. Nintendo is the McDonald's.
I mean, it's reliable. You know what you're getting. You're probably going to have a good time. I don't know. Like, yeah. Now, and then you look at some of these
the
AAA
quality,
studios.
like the quality of the graphics might not be as good as the competitors, but damn if it doesn't taste
But
good.
it tastes great. Like, you're
Yeah,
going to
it
have a
tastes great.
good time, and you're probably going to keep coming back. And maybe sometimes you lie about how frequently you're there.
Actually, you know what? If I really wanted to go a step further on this, which I do, I think it's more like a Sheets. I think Nintendo's like Sheets, because sometimes they're just like, "Do you want tater tots on your bagel, on your cream cheese bagel, or some cheese fries?"
You're right. Every sandwich you pick, they're like, "Would you like to cover this in barbecue?" You're like, "No."
Sure, yeah.
No,
And Nintendo's like, yeah, graphics, schmaffics, but what if we give you this dildo for a controller and you figure out what to do?
Oh, now if you're going into how they release their packaging, now I'm with you. Yeah, they're all over the place. They're like, "Hey, would you like to build your own peripherals for your Switch? We'll give it you this cardboard box and you can make it up yourself."
Yeah. And that's why, like, when it comes to guessing what the next Nintendo console is, I'm just like, we all think it's going to be, like, just a better Switch, but it's also like, when has Nintendo never just been like, here's something else entirely?
Yeah, they could go out of left field and immediately. Though, you know that they've always like had that dual purpose with they'd have some sort of console and then some sort of handheld. What I'll be interested to know is if they do go somewhere other than a Switch, like what will they do with that? Will they still, because the culture in Japan of having the video games on the go is such like paramount need for how frequently people are moving, trains for hours to get to bit work, all that good stuff. They're never going to go away from that. So if they go away from the Switch, will we go back into a two-purpose system where Nintendo has a console and a handheld again?
Nah. See, that's the thing. I think no matter what, it's going to be that console handheld. Like, they've already established that's who they are. What they add on to that or what they make out of that, that's the real question.
Fair. I'm with you. They really like, kind of fucking hit it out of the park with the Switch, though. That's the problem. It's so good.
Saved their lives. I mean, I don't think it saved them. They weren't going anywhere, but like it was after the Wii U, it was like, oh wow, the Switch. Like if you would have asked me in that like 10, 12 year period of time, like, Chase, how do you feel about modern Nintendo? I'd have been like, I don't know. I see it kind of going. I never really play it.
Yeah.
I play the fuck out of my Switch. Yeah. Now I did play my DS and my 3DS, so not entirely Nintendo-less, but console-wise.
But again, it's that mobile aspect of it. Like the games on the mobile aspect drew you in more than say the latest Mario on Wii U, and it's like they need to keep that balance struck, or they really do fall out of equilibrium. Because nobody really liked the Wii U, but maybe they were putting out some bangers for the DS, the 3DS, stuff like that. They were able to keep that equilibrium, but they made it easy on themselves. They're like, actually, just take the whole thing with you. And you're like, hell yeah, I'm into this.
I mean, immediately when I saw the trailer for the Switch, I was like, I'm getting one of those. And I did. I got it the day it came out. I was like, that thing is pretty fucking cool. Especially when they were like, you can play the new Zelda game we've been teasing over your head for 7 years on it. I was like, okay.
You're like, oh
and
my
I'm
God,
so glad I
less.
did. I have bought 3 Nintendo Switches. You know what I mean? I love the Switch. I play almost all my games I can on it these days.
I still have one of the originals. I've never upgraded it, and I will say that like newer, latest, and greatest games not optimized by Nintendo do suffer a little bit, but I don't do that a lot.
Yeah.
The Steam Deck takes that part away, so...
Yes. Yeah, if I want to play one of those big games, I bust that big old bitch out and we play on there.
All the battery life.
Everything else goes on the Switch, and yeah, I'm a Nintendo fangirl all over again. It's probably I have a PS5. I have this fucking rig. I have everything. My Switch is definitely my favorite thing. Like my favorite.
And that's fair. And I don't think anybody.
And that's why I bought the OLED last year just for shits and giggles. And I was like, will I get enough my money's worth out of buying this now so late in the Switch life? I've probably doubled my just from what I had on my Switch now on my OLED. Like, and the battery life is impeccable. So. I love the Switch. I cannot wait for the next one. Wow. Look at this big Nintendo uproar we just caused.
Fucking not here to talk love to Nintendo all day.
Yeah, except if they hear this, they might tell us to shut the fuck up.
Yeah, I know. We actually
we're not allowed to talk about them.
Yeah, we actually just ruined your podcast. Sorry.
Yeah, that's
Cease and desist is in the mail.
I've been ready for them my whole life. No, that was an excellent kickoff to the new nerd shit. It really took us down some tunnels. All sorts of different paths. It's like the Hyrule Historia itself.
I'm glad that it hit. I'm glad that it landed because, like I said, I mentioned both of those Zelda games to a couple of friends at work with lukewarm response. So,
Oh, damn.
not like they were negative. It's just like I didn't play it. I didn't
really
grow
play
up with it,
them.
and
Yeah.
it kind of goes to that. People sleep on them.
Dude. Ugh. That fucking big Goron sword fighting Ganon at the end, and the twin Rova sisters. Oh, I love those fights, dude. That's all I want to say about that. And challenging, but fair and fun.
Yeah, because there's
And
definitely.
that's the final.
I will
boss.
say you get a magical grace thanks to the virtual Colt Boy now, because you can rewind and put save points in. So I want to say that the game's like, if you want true difficulty in the game as intended, don't take advantage of any of those
functionalities.
I've beaten both of them. I was playing them on a victory lap. I didn't really care. So,
Sure, yeah.
So like, there was nothing about that was like me learning it for the first time.
I hear you.
If you are going in blind for the first time, I'm sorry. I don't think you should be allowed to do that.
Dude, I can't even play on the virtual console half the time because it's just like it's too tempting.
It's
too sweet.
Yeah.
To not rewind it.
You can. And I mean, during a boss battle, I will easily admit that there's times where you're like, oh, okay, I just figured out the strategy, but I still lost 15 hearts. Let's just rewound it, and then I'll have those 15 hearts and the strategy.
Yeah, I don't have to walk back here.
No.
Fuck that. You're just saving yourself time.
Listen,
we don't have
we
that
are
much
adults.
time.
We've got finite amount of time, you know?
Yeah.
And not only that, as I said, I'm all for hacks, mods, and cheats if I've played the game originally in pure form. I will destroy a game on the second playthrough. I played Cyberpunk completely vanilla all the way through. Second playthrough, modded the shit out of it. I played all these Zelda games, playing them again. Yeah, if I die to a boss, I'm just going to remind it.
My PlayStation 2 can't even begin to read my Grand Theft Auto Vice City disc with how much damage those cheat codes did.
That's what I forgot. You just be running around with a tank that can fly.
Fantastic. Yeah, no, I did that on the first playthrough of those old Grand Theft Auto games. I don't do it now, though. When I play Grand Theft Auto, I play it.
I don't know. This is a really out of touch question. Can you put codes?
I don't.
Can you put codes in the new Grand Theft Auto games?
I have no idea. I've never tried.
Wow.
I mean, I'd imagine, but try it out the next time. I have it on my Steam. I could probably figure it out.
I go back to that game almost like once every 5 years to play through it because I love that game so much.
I gotta play 4. It's been a long time since I've seen 4 or played 4.
Nico,
my cousin.
Nico Bellic.
Roman,
cousin, let's go bowling.
We just went fucking bowling, man, last night.
My guy is a bowler. Don't take that away from him.
He's got a limited amount of money and he uses it to hit them pins.
That's all he's got in the world. I don't even remember like what age that Grand Theft Auto game came out. Like, not when it came out in real life, but like where is it set in Liberty City? What year? I can't remember.
I think it's like the modern time.
Oh, is it? So like mid 2000s, I think, when it came out.
I think it's 2008.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Bowl, Roman, there's so many cooler things to do than bowl every damn night, dude. It's 2008.
Get a life. get a woman. Jeez, don't get her killed by the end of this game. It's sick how they make you choose between your cousin and that bitch at the end.
I, honest to God, don't remember the ending.
I picked the cousin.
It's been so long.
You pick one or the other to save, and the other one dies. And I said, "To hell with her, cousins for life."
Fam, you turned into Dom, and you're just like family.
Dude, this isn't a Grand Theft Auto 4 story review, but I will say this. Your cousin is just the man for you that whole game. And the girl, I mean, you just met her like during the game. Like, how well do you know her? You're gonna fucking let your cousin die? Fuck that. Fuck that.
I really don't remember this at all. I played it when I was in college, and I think I played 5 right after it, and then I just remember 5. So I know that it takes place in Liberty City. I remember all the Nico and the cousin and all that, but yeah, how the game actually goes. Oh, that and the secret heart in the Liberty Tower. I remember that. Yes. I remember that because I think you and I actually did that. Like, went and found that in a helicopter in your base.
Yeah, it's like a real heart.
Yeah, it's like a beating chained heart inside that statue, and you have to like take a helicopter above the first level of the base and like jump out and drop onto it.
Oh wow, I haven't thought about that in fucking ages, but you're right.
And there's just like a human heart beating inside this
That's
statue.
what I mean, man. I love Grand Theft Auto 5, but the 4 will always have. I think 4 is better in a lot of ways, but
fucking
whatever.
We're coming up on 6 now, baby.
Can't wait to play 6. Ugh, cannot wait. I've definitely taken some vacation.
I think I might. That's a fair one.
Yeah. Whew, okay.
That was a deep rabbit hole. Let's come out of that one.
That was a deep... Yep. I'll dive into my first new nerd shit that I have for the night. I don't think this has been mentioned a whole lot, so I just wanted to give it, like, a place to talk about. This is an intervention, dude. No. A bunch of people come down your stairs behind you. It's all set up.
Listeners, there are 30 of my family members standing behind me at this moment in my basement.
With signs that say they love me and shit.
Yeah, I don't actually know why they're here, but you get to listen in. We'll learn together.
So yeah, that aside, we'll get to you later. Me first, then we'll save your.
Perfect.
We'll get you through your addiction.
That sounds good.
Hiromu Arakawa, her follow-up manga to Full Metal Alchemist, I read through up till the most current chapter of it this past week. I had been collecting it. I had dabbled in it over the years a couple times. Like, I checked it out when it first came out. It's a monthly chapter release, so it's like, you like to let a lot of that build up. And I own the first 5.
I was going to say,
volumes.
I have a lot of questions now. Like, how many are there? 5?
5 volumes printed, in English. There are 33 current chapters, all, 40-page chapters.
Oh my god.
So, yeah, and like, when I first started reading it, it was like maybe a few chapters in, so like the story really barely got going. But now I'm at a point where I'm like, all right, we've covered at least possibly 2 what I'd call arcs, and we're starting another arc.
Oh,
so like,
wow.
I think I got a real taste for this series, and yeah, I'm digging it so far. It's called, I don't think I said the name of it. So when I first started reading it, it was just translated from Japan. They didn't change it to America. In America, it's called Daemons, with demon spelled with A, Daemons, of the Shadow Realm. I originally knew it as Yomi no Tsukai is what it was called.
I kind of prefer the second name because I'll be honest, Demons from the Shadow Realm is not a creative.
I agree. I don't think the title, I don't think it's the greatest of titles, but it fits for what's going on in the plot of the story.
Okay.
So like it's fine. But I mean I think Yomi no Tsukai sounded way cooler. But I get why they had to like just translate it to English for the title. That's
so what's the high level story? What's the premise?
So the premise of the story is it's based on these 2 twins that are born. It's basically like they're born once in a generation, and when they're born, it means they have the ability to basically shape the world. So these 2 twins are born on, I want to say, I think it's a solstice or something, but they one represents the sun and one represents the moon. And it's kind of interesting because the one that represents the moon is actually the one, he looks like Ed.
Yeah,
he's blonde, he's got bright eyes, and then the one that represents, they're siblings, they're twins, she's the girl.
Okay.
She's got the dark hair.
Gotcha.
So, and like that's just kind of like what they are.
I mean, I was looking at this top and I'm like, that's Ed. Like, I'm just looking at this and I'm like, that's Ed.
Right. And it's hard even when I'm reading it, I'm like, it's hard not to hear like Vic Mignogna's voice for him. But I'm trying to like separate it. But like, I mean, his name is Yuru, Yuru, and then her name is Asa, Asa. Figured I'd just spell them. Don't really know why.
You're enjoying it. So how would you like? Obviously, you don't want to compare it to Full Metal Alchemist, but how does it like? Will somebody who liked Full Metal Alchemist like this, or do you like it for other reasons than Full Metal Alchemist?
I think that it's one of those things where like I've read a lot of manga now and from different authors, and there's just like a certain touch that she has that I like to see in manga. Like there's a lot of character mannerisms and like jokes
still
that like you only
it's still underlined.
Right.
Know.
Like it's not okay, sure, we got a main character that looks just like Ed. You have that. There's characters that look like characters from Full Metal Alchemist, but I feel like their personalities are all very unique to them, and they're all just involved in just another interesting little tale that she's telling. And like, I'll have to get to, so like the twins get separated at one point. There's this whole conspiracy between like these 2 clans that there's this village. So the main character, he grows up in this village that is like cut off. It's like the village fucking M. Night Shyamalan.
Oh,
like,
okay.
They think the world is Amish,
yep.
But really like down off this mountain they live on is just modern society. And this kid's parents and the the main sister, escaped the village, and he had to stay in the village, and they like tricked him into thinking this other girl was his sister. So it's this whole conspiracy. It's like Full Metal Alchemist, where like the first chapter kicks off tame, but then gets dark as fuck.
Wild. Yeah.
Like this, yeah, it's very tame, and then you think it's one thing, and then fucking, because you're seeing it just as the village, and then all of a sudden fucking helicopters show up and people come in, start fucking
really
killing all these
just
people.
Like the village, yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy how it starts, but then where it goes from there, like she's really good at starting things very horrific, but then making them fun, but still that sense of like horror could happen at any moment.
100%, because I would hope that still runs through, as you described, like the thread that she kind of weaves. But I mean, we all know the jokes about brother, and we all know like how they make philosopher's stones and civil war and horrible genocides and all this. Like, there is Fullmetal Alchemist is happy and great and light and incredible. It's also really goofed, like when you sit down and think about it. Like,
yes,
so like I'm glad to hear that is still within her work.
Definitely still within her ability, and she's just doing it in such a different way this time. Like, yes, they're still siblings, but they're twins. One's a girl, one's a guy. They got separated, and like the goal actually for these kids, because like, not to give too many spoilers, but the one that lives in the village gets away from the village.
Like, hey, keep the spoilers, because I'm actually interested.
I will keep the spoilers down, but you know, he gets off the mountain, and they end up, you know, meeting and doing stuff together. But I should say like what the demons are, honestly, before I get into anything more. So there are these things in this world, like people have the ability to see and master demons, which are demons spelled with an A, so they can be good or bad spirits, but they all represent like a pair.
Okay.
Like one guy's demons are a hare and a tortoise, and like the main character's demons, they're called like the like ancient left and right. It's hard to really describe them, but they're like they're like a stone statue that the village people worshipped, and like this kid connected his blood with it so that they're his demons.
Okay.
And there's always pairs. Like one guy has, it's like what's the fish with the fucking light on its head?
Anglerfish.
You know what I'm talking about? The anglerfish. So like the fish's fucking face does one thing, and then the anglerfish, the light thing, is another spirit. So all the spirits have these kind of like dual identities. Think like sort of JoJo's stands.
I was gonna say yin and yang. I'm with you.
Yeah. Oh, there is a guy that has yin and yang.
Oh, okay.
Like,
Perfect.
Like I said, I can't give you a bunch of examples right off the top of my head, but like the guy that had tortoise and hare. Think like all these pairs are kind of like that. Like a girl has like a dog and a cat, and just really fun spirit characters, right? That work for these or are mastered by this cast of really fun new characters. Like, think of how many characters you like from just the original Full Metal Alchemist.
Oh, yeah.
And think about how you're introduced to a lot. Like, some of them are introduced as villains.
Yeah.
Some of them are just introduced as, like, people you don't think are going to be fucking anybody.
Yep.
And it's just more of that. Like, just, actually, these are some of my favorite characters.
I'm
the people that I thought were the villains, within, like, 2 chapters, I'm like, oh, maybe they aren't the villains. Who are the villains? What the fuck's going on? Meanwhile, they're trying to find their parents. Like, the goal of these kids, their parents end up disappearing, so, like, they need to find out what happened to their parents. So there's all sorts of mysteries. It's like, what the fuck's going on with this village? What the fuck's going on with these 2 families? Because there's the Taderas, which are the village people, and then there's the I fucking can't remember. Like, I should have wrote it down. Kagimuras, something like that. They're this other family that like lives off the mountain and like wants to use the powers of these 2 twins for another thing. I'm all over the place, but so is the story now that I'm thinking about it, because people want to use these twins for their abilities and rule the world off of them. So their whole lives they're like people are trying to kidnap them or kill them, because the only way to activate the powers is to kill one of them. And the girl, she gets killed like before the series starts and gets her ability, which I won't get into, but it's pretty cool. And then like the main Ed looking motherfucker, Yuru, he hasn't died yet, so like he doesn't have his special power yet, but he makes do. And yeah, it's fun.
I just found a whole list, I think, of available chapters here, and I'm gonna have to dive into this, which is funny because I'm actually in quite a manga reading lull, other than for my weeklies that I keep up with. So this is cool, and the fact that most of the chapters, as you said, are 40 pages long, like that's incredible. That's 4
roughly
chapters I'm
there,
used to reading. And to know that there's 33 chapters at 40 pages long, that's incredible. I'm so excited. So
yeah. I was bummed to catch up yesterday because, like, you know how these chapters end. They always end with, like, oh my god, here's a character that I've been waiting to see this whole series. Fuck.
Dude, I'm really struggling now. I've had so much fun the past couple of series that I've been reading. I'm having so much fun being able to just read them all. Like, I never knew a whole lot about Death Note. I know that our friends when we were in high school liked Death Note. I knew nothing about Death Note. I was just kind of surrounded by it. So I just was like...
recently?
What's that?
Till recently?
Till this year.
Oh my god,
dude,
what?
Okay, here's my next new nerd shit, I guess. But yeah, I read Death Note.
Wow, yeah, that's a good segue.
Yeah, I read Death Note.
I did not know that you hadn't.
Yeah, I was surrounded in high school by all sides of people who liked Death Note, and I just never gave it the time of day. I don't know if it was pride or ignorance or whatever it was, but I was just like, nah, I don't really care. I knew the general premise, but that was about it. And
oh my god,
yeah,
dude.
so I finally sat down. I was like, I should read this. And as you know, I use my iPad Shonen Jump app. I read manga constantly. Yes. And they had the entire thing first to the finish, 110 or whatever it was. And yeah, I just sat down and read it over the course of maybe 3 months, because it's dense. It is a dense manga.
Yeah.
It is nothing but dialogue.
A lot of reading.
It's almost like reading a novel.
The action is the dialogue.
Yeah, it's like it is a cerebral based story, which I really enjoyed. Like, I'm not going to sit here and I didn't enjoy it. I will say that much like a lot of those mid 2000s manga that kicked off with like Bleach and Death Note, I think that Chaz Series 2 was just Series 1. But, like, it was fun. I had a good time reading it when they introduced the new L's, whatever their names are, Nier and
oh yeah,
like, I'm just like, this is just L with extra steps. So
yeah. I think a lot of people agree the ending, they don't stick it, like they could have ended it with L and that would have been fine.
And then like the way that the whole thing actually does end with like getting caught and him just losing his mind and going to jail and all that or whatever it was. I was just like, I really do feel like you slipped the landing a little bit. I felt like you guys kind of ran out of the steam that you built for yourself, which is a little bit of a shame because you probably at a point were the most talked about manga and anime of like mid 2000s. Yeah. And I really feel like they didn't stick the landing.
But you know what, though? It's one of those rare situations where they didn't stick the landing, and I don't think people care. Like, it's good enough that it's still considered one of the greats, even though the ending... Like, the ending is just, like... It's not bad. It's just, like, that's an ending.
That's an ending. It's like, to be honest, I always like to do the thing where I go, if I had my perfect world, what would I have made the ending if I didn't like this one? Because criticism needs to be had with suggestion. So I don't have anything better. I don't know. Yeah. And that's why I can't complain too hard. Because I think that they could have done something if they would have decided they wanted to tie the bow at L. I think they could have done something cool, and then they didn't, and then they had to figure out a way to close it regardless. And I think that's probably where like the weight of itself collapsed in, and they didn't know what to do. Maybe he did. Maybe he was just tired of writing. I don't really know. But I 24, 32 years old, and I read Death Note for the first time.
Wow. I don't, you know what? It's one of those things. It's like when Sam Atwell told me he hadn't seen The Lord of the Rings. I was like, oh, I just assumed. You know what I mean? We never really talked about it. I just assumed that you had seen it by this point. But I'd say, other than the ending, though, you enjoyed the high moments.
I will say that
the first 3/4 of it.
Some of the peak L stuff was good, especially when they started introducing the fact that they let L touch the Death Note and see the Shinigami and get him in there. And then that got all twisted. Like, that was fun. That was cerebral. I was invested. I think that there was a little bit of, like, the fact that you really have to read it like a novel gets a little old, too. Because you're like, how many times can L say that he doesn't trust Light in, like, the same chapter? Like...
Yeah.
Just, okay, man. So, like, a little pruning, but no, overall, I'd say that first arc up until the moment that L actually dies, which that's another thing. You're like, wait, is he really dead? What just happened?
Is this it? Yeah.
He's dead. He's like, holy shit, he's dead. Yeah, I won't talk bad about it. It was good, and I can definitely see why people fell in love with it. I will also say, though, for as many anime conventions as I went to when I was younger, and how many people dressed up as Misa, I expected her to be kind of more of a player in the game, and she has her peak points, but she's just kind of there.
Yeah.
And I never understood it. I was just like, oh, I thought, not knowing what's going on and how many people would cosplay as Misa.
Let me tell you this. The girls that went as Misa at anime conventions, they were also the girls when they weren't at the anime conventions that were just sort of there. So that's why they wanted to be. They were like, man, they make the girl that just is there so cool.
I guess that's a good point. They idolize somebody who was just there. Because I was expecting her. They introduced her. She had a Shinigami. I was like, this is kind of cool. She's a rogue agent. And then she just becomes so one-dimensional and just in the back room. She's a very just basic
anime girl.
I was like, damn, why do people idolize this chick? She didn't do anything.
Dude, Naruto's sexy jutsu girl has more brains than her.
Yeah, at least there's strategy behind that.
Right. I've seen her pause and be like, what are you talking about? As opposed to Misu's just a fucking nut.
Yeah.
I love that. So when people ask me that want to get into anime and they want suggestions for ones to start with, Full Metal Alchemist and Death Note, Brotherhood, of course, are my two. I think they can be watched by people who like or don't like anime or has never experienced
these
anime.
Are definitely cross-genre stories.
Full Metal Alchemist gets a little more, it's got the characterisms that you can identify with anime, but it's not too bad. I've seen way worse. Whereas Death Note, very serious the whole time. So it's what do you want? Yeah. And I've had, and now Attack on Titan has also been thrown on that list because I think those three are very just whether you like the genre or not, this has something that I think will just compel you to continue watching it.
That's interesting. I've never had to answer that question before, other than telling people that Full Metal Alchemist should usually be their entry point. But I've never really thought okay, what's after that? And I don't know if I have an answer right off the top of my head. I can see where you're saying Death Note for sure, but part of me actually would say a Demon Slayer, even though it's a little bit more genre, but the story and the animation I think can probably sell a lot.
I think once I know people that's why Demon Slayer is not a.
Maybe is that a level 2-er?
It is a level 2-er. It's one that if they've watched at least one of the other ones and liked it, because I don't know if you like Death Note, are you gonna like Demon Slayer? They're very different.
I don't know.
But if you like Full Metal Alchemist, right. I think you'll like Demon Slayer.
You'll like that. Yes, I agree with that statement. If somebody looks at you and goes, "I don't like Full Metal Alchemist," first off, don't talk to them anymore. But secondly, be like, "But I did like Death Note."
Yeah.
That's confusing to me in a way.
That's a different type of anime fan, honestly.
You also just like procedural sitcoms, don't you? Because I feel like you like Law and Order SVU, right? And you really like it when the episode is to be continued.
Yeah,
that's your thing, right?
So don't tell Caton the Weasel Weezner that you don't like Full Metal Alchemist, or he is gonna
just stop right there, to be honest, because I'd like to know your taste in storylines.
It's one of the best ones, and it will always be one of the best ones. And I tell people, I had a friend, my buddy Swag, who's also been on the show. He I can't remember what order he went. I think he went Death Note, Full Metal, then Attack on Titan. He lost his fucking marbles to it. And this is a guy that did not watch anime. We go over to his house and we watch fucking baseball till we go home. And I got him to watch all these, and man.
I'm sure I told you this story, but I remember so vividly one time I was getting up for school. My dad always got up before me, just because he left a little bit earlier than I did. And I would come downstairs, my pajamas as a middle schooler or whatever it was. And my dad would be watching that really early morning block. It was the other end of Adult Swim, where they put some just random anime stuff at 5 in the morning. And I'd be downstairs, and I think it was still original Full Metal Alchemist, not Brotherhood at that time. But he'd be watching it.
Oh,
he'd
yeah,
be just
he'd
just be like, this is I find this entertaining. And it's this is my dad, at the time, probably a mid-40s-year-old man. Probably as much cartoon as he got was Bugs Bunny as a kid,
Yeah.
And then it's he's
it's a whole new ball game.
Yeah, he's I like this story, and it's just fuck, dude. I doubt if you'd remember that, telling me that, but I remember it because as a kid, I'm my dad likes anime.
He doesn't even know it.
He doesn't even know it. My dad thinks that the cartoons are cool.
He was bitching when we were watching Pokemon. Now look at him.
Yeah, exactly. Probably after subjecting him to 1,011,000 a.m. Saturday morning Yu-Gi-Oh episodes, he finally was like, all right, fine, I'll watch one of these that they say hell every once in a while.
Anime, dude. I think the bringing anime into America. I could go all day about like just how it was.
I know.
Able
I thought
to,
you
like,
had a no anime policy actually on your podcast.
No.
Because
So
we'll just rabbit hole. We'll just rabbit
I'm actually
hole.
cutting the last 20 minutes entirely, you fucking weeb. But I think that anime stuck so well in America because, like you said, like, all we had was like Bugs Bunny type of cartoons for the longest time, and then one day, just something like Digimon, sure, but Pokemon and Dragon Ball Z just appeared on our TV.
I was gonna say
like,
Dragon Ball Z.
This is different.
Dragon Ball Z. What was the other ones that like Inuyasha, Roni Kenshin, some of that stuff early on, and like the late night stuff.
Buddy.
Yeah, dude, like it's funny. Well,
Imagine
even
your dad
then
watching
too, the mech
Fooly
stuff.
Cooly.
Fooly Cooly. Lupin the Third.
He'd probably never turn that fucking channel on ever again if that was the show he caught.
I've never watched.
Which I love.
I've never watched.
It's good,
Fooly Cooly.
but I know your dad enough to know that he'd be like, I don't know what this is.
I know. It was always the Full Metal Alchemist thing. I think also it was very opportune for him because let's say, for example, he got up at 5 and watched TV till 5:45. It must have been that like 5 or 5:30 program.
Oh, definitely.
Where he just happened to turn it on, flick through, and then he saw some action, and he's like, "All right, I'll watch this."
Yeah. So yeah, it's a good thing he didn't come in like during a theme song or an ending theme. He'd be like,
"No, you don't
want to
get him when there's like Japanese singing," because he'd be like, no, I don't want to watch this. I'm good.
Out of there. So I mean, Full Metal Alchemist is able to just grab people back then, and
I mean, there's times where like I was watching episodes. I just rewatched it recently again for the billionth time, and I'm just watching it, and Leo will come down and get sucked in for multiple episodes, if not multiple nights of episodes. And eventually she'll be like, okay, I'm going to do something else. But like it's in waves, and this is again somebody who's not historically into this sort of thing. It just grabs people. The story's fun, the animation's fun, the people are unique. It's a good story.
It's a good time, and I mean, ultimately, I think that it, if you like Full Metal Alchemist, I think she's coming back with another.
How long has this been out?
Pretty damn.
Like 33 a month per. That's a pretty old.
Couple years, about 3 years now. I think. I remember when I first started at the library, like the first couple chapters that were out, so I had like dabbled a little.
How do you read it? Just online on sites and shit? Or do you...
Yeah, I found like I literally just Googled.
Yeah.
I don't endorse this, but I just Googled read Demons of the Shadow Realm or Yomi no Tsukai online free, and it was like the first thing. And then like you get some dumb fucking ads that pop up sometimes. I got lucky because I got to read the first 5 volumes just as books.
That's awesome. Okay, well I've got it all here. I've got a third-party manga reading app on my iPad as well, where I can sideload manga, so I can still swipe through it.
Yeah.
So I'm excited about that.
It's good because, like, I'd say as a story, like I said, we're a couple arcs in, but I also think like Full Metal Alchemist, like, I know a lot of the story beats that we're going toward, but I still don't know like what is the ultimate villain, like what is going on. It's very like,
only really
we didn't know who Father was until
the almost like end, right? Like 60-70% of the way through the story, and then they like hint to him, but like they don't really you never see this man.
Well, I did a comparison. I was like, where were we 33 chapters into Full Metal Alchemist? And
interesting question.
It wasn't far. It was like the end of the Greed, like Bradley killing the first Greed.
Oh my god, that's
right.
Incredible.
Yeah, like,
well, that kind of leads me to another point about Full Metal Alchemist. It's way longer than I think I remember because of how long the individual chapters are.
Yeah,
I started collecting the hardbound ones.
Yeah.
They're just so damn pretty.
They are pretty.
And I was looking, but I have this dumb rule. I've kind of made it into a game where I can only buy the next one when I find it.
Okay.
That way I'm not like just buying them all online at one time. I want to like go to Barnes and Noble or whatever.
Yeah,
so I'm looking for 6 right now.
That's good.
And I'm working on. But here's the thing: when I'm at Barnes and Noble and I see 14, 17, I'm like, how big is this collection? I don't remember.
I think it's 17 or 18. I think I've seen it.
Yeah. And it's just like, I forget that. I think it's like in my head, it's like 9, 10, 11, but it's not.
I thought the same thing. I thought when I was going to see how far 33 chapters was, I was going to be like, oh, we got to be like, fighting the homunculus in Father's dungeon by then.
Yeah,
right?
You're in the lair at that point.
Not even fucking close, man. Al can't even do alchemy with both hands yet at this point. You know what I mean?
Wow.
Yeah.
That is deep.
So that's all the farther we are into this story, but I think there's still a lot of meat on those bones. A lot of fun characters, a lot of things. I laughed out loud a couple times. You know, it's fun.
Are they making an anime out of it?
Not
actively?
that I've heard of.
Okay.
It's not in the...
To be fair, if they did, they'd end up having to run into that same issue with the original Full Metal, where they had to send them and fight Hitler at the end of the movie.
I think they understand that now, and I think that's why there's like it's about. I think in Japan there's like 7 or 8 volumes, so like they're pretty far into not having anime yet. Luckily, anime these days are pretty smart. Now we do seasons, so like if they separated this into like seasonal anime,
that's true.
That would be the best way to do it. Yeah. So I hope if it gets an anime that they do that. I hope they get some.
Or they could go by the path of how Demon Slayer is going to finish out theirs. They could just release your seasons into movies.
Can't fucking wait, man. Can't fucking wait. Love Demon Slayer so goddamn much. They just finished the dub run of the latest season, and we watched the finale again last night, and I was like, I fucking love this. This is seriously one of the best episodes.
I would watch the finale episode a couple more times. I don't know if I'd go back and watch any like the other.
The rest of the season was fun enough. I had it, like I said, I had a fun time. I think that last episode is one of the most exceptional. Braden and I talked about it a couple episodes back, but like,
and that's what
Demon Slayer does. It is the owner of like 5 specific episodes that I consider to be like best anime moments of a lifetime.
When you like make your top 5 list of anime episodes, cross genre, cross series,
3 of them are Demon Slayer. You know,
yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Like, they're so good. You might have one like epic One Piece speech or something, because I do put Luffy shooting down the flag of the World Order with Robin on the other side as like one of my favorite moments from anime, because it's just like, oh, that's a big boy move.
It was,
and all the crew behind him without even blinking. He's just like, Sniper King, shoot that flag, and he's like, I got you, boss. Yeah. And it's like, I fucking love that. And then Robin screaming about wanting to live, like, that is such a fan. I'm getting kind of goosebumps talking about that episode. That's such a good episode.
That's how you know it's good. That's how you know it's good.
And then it's like, so other than that, though, like, I don't know what else I have other than some of those finales, some of the moments, some of the, I mean, even as simple as like Nezuko after turning and Tashiro meeting up with her for the first time, and he's like holding her off, and there's the water Hashira's there, and like even that's just like he's like losing it, he doesn't know what's going on, and you're just like, oh, this episode,
dude,
this scene,
is
so fucking
that's Demon Slayer's first episode. Not only it's an exceptional episode of television, it gets better upon rewatches too. Like, not only is it something that completely sucks you into it right away, because you're just like, holy fuck, this is a lot.
Like, what the fuck?
This is the craziest thing I've ever seen. Maybe not ever, but like, it's a totally dark story. It just gets better every time I go back to it. I'm just like, oh yeah, because you just appreciate more things about Demon Slayer by that point. So you go back to it and you're just like, they were doing it right from the start.
And I didn't even talk about anything to do with Mugen Train, which honestly could come up as my top 5 scenes in one movie, like easily. There's so, whether it's the dream demon that's doing all the danger, or the fucking fight between the second moon and the flame Hiroshima at the end. It's at the end. It's like
Hiroshima,
Hiroshima, where they drop the bomb. No,
they dropped the bomb.
Yeah, there's so many fucking good episodes.
Yeah. Oh, Mugen Train was like, I always tell people, I was pretty into Demon Slayer with just season 1. Like, I was like, yeah, this is pretty solid. I like it. I don't see why it's a big deal yet. That's what I remember saying. I'm like, oh, why are people losing their shit? This is, you know. And then I saw Mugen Train, and I was like, okay, here we go. I'm buying the fucking. I have Tanjiro shit everywhere.
Fuck right here. Here's my right here. Here's my guy.
Yeah.
I got my little. Oh, my camera's not gonna.
Yep.
My little flame Hiroshima. Oh wait, I can turn it on too.
I got my little. We each have our little Tanjiros by our table.
Listeners, we're just geeking out with our.
Really fell in. I mean, I got my Zenny shoes. Like, I'm into Demon Slayer. I went from being like, what's the big deal, to like, okay,
I like Demon Slayer.
I'm a big fucking fan. Yeah, totally. I try to get as many people into that as I can, because I'm just like, no matter what kind of anime viewer you are, I think you can appreciate Demon Slayer.
Easily. That's why I even said it made my top 1 list in terms of something I would push. I do agree that it could be viewed as a level 2 where you need to have some toehold.
I think it benefits from. I think the things that I appreciate most about it benefit from me understanding anime
having a
in
history.
general. You know what I mean? Like,
That's
I know
actually
they're
a
doing
great
these
point.
scenes the best they've ever been done.
Right. If you'd actually go through and watch Death Note or Fullmetal Alchemist, and then you watch Demon Slayer, those almost feel like two completely different art styles, like light years ahead, which they are. I mean, hand-drawn cells and or base level electronic design, because I don't know where we would be at with digital art in 2001 or whatever it was, 2002.
Yeah.
But like now, and you see what they're capable of, it's like it's like a caveman coming to life.
It's crazy. It's crazy, and I there's so many anime that I gotta make sure that I want to watch it as its anime form instead of reading it because of the things they can do. I don't think I'd be as into Demon Slayer as much if I just read it like I am when I watch it. It just sucks me the fuck in.
I didn't have an issue, but I will agree that I think, even to your point, Mugen Train, I think that really sold how good it was to me. I did read it. It was fine. It was good. I had a good time, but you're right. It didn't have the same sticking power.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's, and I still read a lot of manga, but there are a lot of anime that I try to tell people, like, I think it's popular because it got this great anime treatment. And Attack on Titan's one of those. Attack on Titan, even My Hero Academia, I collect the manga, but I'm like, that benefits from being watched. Some are just better that way.
Yeah, I was thinking about watching Attack on Titan. I just haven't yet, but it's the next thing queued up behind this Yu-Gi-Oh that I just found.
I think you'll like it quite a bit. It's one of the good ones. The fact that you haven't seen it does not surprise me nearly as much as knowing that you hadn't seen Death Note until this year. That blows my fucking marbles. But
yeah, I never did it.
You watched what's that one Eden of the East?
Yes.
So that's funny because like you've watched Eden of the East, but you haven't seen Death Note. Like,
well, that was so much more consumable. You sent me that, or I don't know. Actually,
it was. Yeah, I got really big into it when we were in college, and
that was like it was unique and fun and cool, and it's another one that nobody really talks about. I got. In that same vein, I don't have as many details about this one, but there was a couple of months ago, Leah and I was stoned out of my mind, and I found Weathering with You.
I didn't know if it was months or years ago.
I don't even know. Weathering with You. It's a movie that was on HBO, and it was in the Ghibli Studio section, and it has to do with a girl who can make it rain by like praying to the sun or something. I don't remember specifically. All I remember is that it's not super talked about, and when I watched it, I was like crying on how cute it was because I was baked out of my mind.
Yeah.
I'm like, because it turns into like this romance where he wants to protect this girl, but this girl is needed by the world to make it rain, and he's like, you're tearing her, like you're too thin, and it's adorable. And I watched it baked, and it was just cute as hell, and it's just one that nobody talks about, kind of like Eden of the East.
It's unique. One more thing on anime and we'll move on. But
sorry, everybody.
I think the thing that's cool about anime is like there's so many things that can make it unique: an art style, an animation style, a music style, all sorts
and it almost makes some of them uncomparable. Like truthfully, you can't really compare certain things. Like I would never take like a Studio Ghibli movie and throw it against One Piece. I would never take Weathering with You and put it against Demon Slayer. They're all really cool. They're all really good at what they do, and they're all unique and very specific.
Yeah, they all have a style and some aspect that like you haven't seen anything else like Eden of the East. You know what I mean?
No. You're right, and it's something that, like, I would say, not to, slag on modern TV, but it's something where you can, like, feel that, okay, every procedural sitcom has a line through it, every procedural law show has a line through it, every, even procedural Western has a line through it, and you're just like, you watch one and you kind of, get it, laugh track, insert drama here, cliffhanger before commercial, and, like, that's just not true.
No.
In any of them. Like, you can't really maybe you'll look at, like, Dragon Ball Z and Naruto and be like, they're fighting. Like, okay, they're going to get stronger with each arc. There might be some character development. But you've just, like, talked about fighting movies. Like, there's no, like, that's not the same thing as, like, a 30 Rock versus Parks and Rec. Like, they're the same thing. They're both good, but they're the same thing.
you keep attacking these sitcoms and dramas tonight.
Do you have a deep fan base listening who's gonna be like coming to burn down my house?
No.
Because I insulted King of Queens.
This is actually what the intervention's for, actually, dude. Your deep-seated hatred of modern sitcoms.
I'm watching Parks and Rec
every time we're at parties, he just gets drunk and bitches about modern sitcoms and fucking
If you guys are
CSI.
interested in having a fun conversation about modern sitcoms, hit me up. We'll talk about them.
I'll tell you that you're wrong.
I'll tell you that you're wrong. If you have any respect for them, you're probably a trash.
You'll go back to your other friends and be like, "Fuck that guy." Yeah, then fuck off. So we're all learning a little bit something about the Weasel here tonight.
I don't like this motif that's being made of me. I feel like this.
That's the fun of the show. You got to bring in these little motifs. I went on a whole spiel about kids that were homeschooled on the previous episode, and yeah, I'll probably edit that out.
For what reason?
I said they're all fucking sociopaths. I said I bet you $10. I think we were talking about serial killers, and I was like, it was maybe Ted Bundy. I can't remember. I was like, I bet he was homeschooled. Or at least his parents were homeschooled. Like somebody in that situation.
Somebody in that lineage did not receive a formal education.
I have a deep-seated, sarcastic prejudice towards the homeschooled.
I don't know anybody homeschooled, but then again, I don't know how I would have because I didn't see them out and about.
Right.
So
You don't want to, trust me. They're fucking weird. But moving on. Moving on, I do have one other new nerd shit that I've been dying to talk about.
All right.
And I'm a little rusty on some of it because it's been a couple weeks now since I finished it, but I'm going to do my best. Okay. We're going back a little bit in time to the 3DS era of video games. I dusted off the 3DS, and I played a game that isn't my usual style. A lot of what I've been doing the past year or two is trying to dabble in games that, for most of my life, I don't think are like my style or a game that I will get into, and then I end up falling in love. Like this whole year has just been me being like, oh, I'm into these kind of games now. So in these 2 months that nothing's really been coming out, I've been playing a lot of these kind of games because my schedule's about to get real busy in the coming weeks with video games. But I got to play a series that I had been wanting to play for some time, and it is the Fire Emblem series.
Yep. Okay.
And all my life, I just would look at pictures, I'd look at screenshots, I'd see gameplay, and I just would be like, I do not think this style of video game...
Is that considered a turn-based RPG?
It's a tactical RPG.
Okay.
And I'll get into what the game is and what it plays like.
I've played one.
Okay.
I played the one for Game Boy Advance.
Okay. I started the Game Boy Advance one after I finished this one. I didn't get very far because I was moving on to other games. But I had heard, like, if you want to get into Fire Emblem, one of the best ones is one that's on the 3DS. It's Fire Emblem Awakening.
Okay.
Got it right here. It's the one with Chrom. So if people know Chrom from Smash Brothers.
Okay. I don't know if I had that character.
This is his game that he reigns from. And I started playing this game, and very quickly, I became addicted to this game. And I loved the ever-living fuck. And I am currently a Fire Emblem fanboy. As soon as my schedule frees up on video games, I am going to buy the Three Houses game on the Switch, which is just like this game apparently, but on fucking steroids. And I'm going to play the fuck out of it because it took about 30 hours to play through this one. And I've heard some of the other ones are a lot longer, but it was some of the most compelling 30 hours of my life of a game that you don't technically play in the sense that I'm used to playing games.
Right.
So all of the game it's just like cutscenes and like character dialogue, and then like you're on a big map that you pick where you're gonna go to, like what town, what area, and as soon as you click there, it's just like cutscene, event, people talking, and then boom, the gameplay of the game is like you're in a field and your characters can move a certain, amount of space. It's a tactical RPG. Everything plays kind of like chess. You're playing a sort of like chess or Go with just other AI villains.
Yeah, NPC villains.
And the chapters go on, and there's side quest chapters. Every time you finish one, maybe the map shakes, and it's like, ooh, there's some like fodder over here that you can go and just like level your characters up. So chapter by chapter, and you're slowly building an army. Like you start with a couple characters, you make your own character. He meets Chrom. and like Crom's sister and another guy. His name's Frederick. We love Frederick. Rest in peace is Frederick. He doesn't die in the story, but we'll get into it. Just hold on.
Right, if you're a character.
And you're slowly, like, each chapter, you're gaining more people to add to your party to build a bigger army. You're capable. It's an RPG though, so like once you like get on the same block, it's one quick battle. Like your sword guy just swings at the bad guy. Maybe the bad guy swings back. Damage is dealt. You're back to the chessboard. And it's just pieces moving around like that. There's a system of like people have swords, people have axes, people have lances. I can't for the life of me remember like it's like fire, water, grass. One's weak to the other. So you can see like what a character has. There's different classes. So like there's a sword person on a fucking griffin. So they have like aerial abilities and they can move farther. And there was so much going on in this fucking game, and I couldn't help but just keep playing. Because
that was going to be my question to you is, like, what about it just got you into it as hard as it was?
Another thing that got me into it as hard as it was, now you can pick, like, the casual play, like the way Fire Emblem's supposed to be played, or you can play, like, the lighter version. And what the normal version is if a character in your party dies in a battle, they're gone. They're dead.
Out.
You can't resurrect. So there's another version where like
storyline,
they're done. They're out of there. Like their character, if it's part of the story, they'll still get dialogue and text. But like anytime you're in a battle, they are unusable. They're gone. So that was so thrilling. Like I didn't like it. I hated it because I hated to see people go. And you get attached to some of these characters.
It was
like,
a big
you've
problem
leveled them
for
up.
me.
Oh my god, dude! Like I would class people like to their master class because you get a lot of item management too. Because before you go into each battle, you want to make sure your items, all your you have weapons that you can only use so many times before they break. You got to go buy another one.
I remember like there was I had like the legendary samurai sword Musaim or whatever it is on one of my swordsmen back on the Game Boy one, and it only had say whatever 15 strikes or whatever it was.
Yeah. So you want to make sure you're like stacking up on backup blades so you don't, because sometimes I'd forget to switch people out. It cost them their lives because I was like, oh, I forgot to give them like a weapon if this one broke. Like, oh, it was so devastating to see people go, but like I had to play it like that. And even though it was killing, and like you can save before battle. So like sometimes like I asked Nas, because Nas is the one that got me into it. He's a big Fire Emblem fan, and I was like, what do you do here, man? And he's like, well, you know, if it's somebody important, I'll just turn the game back off and like do it over. And I did that quite a bit, but it did. Sometimes you would just go, as much as I love that character, I don't think we're going to do better on this battle again.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to let them die. And like you watch so many good characters. Like I'd get through a lot of battles with everybody alive. Like you do everything in your power to keep the whole party alive. Another thing that's just, you know, gets me sunk into it is just like, every move I make really means something.
Yeah,
it would suck.
Fuck up.
It would suck if you just missed one thing and like a character moved and it's just like, oh fuck, I put a sword person there and they're gonna and then it plays sad. It plays sad music and you're just like, I know that character's gone. And yeah, it was in every level. Like every chapter has like a different area that you battle in, so it's just like very unique battle zones. Like there was one where we were on a volcano and like pieces of the map turned into lava, so if your characters were standing on there, they'd take damage, so you'd want to try to get through while you're also fighting this fucking army of people riding griffins and dragons and shit. Oh, it's so fun, man.
And there's
like
3 houses.
Yeah, that's like
Switch.
The really popular Switch. You technically do play that one. What I mean by play is like you control a character and literally walk around.
Okay.
Because in Fire Emblem, you don't really do that. You just click battlefields and then move your people through the battlefield. And everybody moves different. You got healers. You got people that can like boost other people's stats. If you put them next to each other, 2 of your party people will get into the fight. So like you can get extra damage if you know where to place certain people. Oh my god, it was so fun. There was this one battle where we just went, it was a side quest, and I was going to get this new character she could turn into like a dragon, but like she had to be protected for a period of rounds, and I had to figure out the best strategy because it was just waves upon waves of people on griffins and dragons coming in. And like my guys were tearing them down, but it was just like they just kept coming, and I was like, oh no, and they'd break through, they'd get to her, they'd kill her, and I had to like learn to like build my defenses just around her and then fight them all off as they came. And it was just so awesome and so satisfying when you like make a plan that just really wins you the battle, gets you the character. You didn't lose anybody. You're off to the horses. You've
really like you again. I have another tab up now at this game off to the right here because I'm like I played it.
It was fun.
I played Game Boy Advance one. I remember having a good time. I don't know why I never played any more of them. I played a similar game to that style. It was called Shining Quest, I think, for Sega Genesis.
Oh, wow.
And it was not Shrine Quest. That's not it. Shining Force. It was called Shining Force. And it was also the same. It was a tactical RPG. You had characters, you had your main character, and you would go through the game and you would gather other characters. There wasn't, it being Sega Genesis, there wasn't a lot of like side story. There's one story. You're just gaining people that you can use. You got healers and centaurs. And I played that. I love that game too. So I think it's one of the games that would be in my wheelhouse. I just kind of slept on them. And now you're like reinvigorating me into getting back into it.
I went from a guy that was like, I don't think Fire Emblem games are for me, to being just like, oh no, they are for me. They're for a part of me I didn't know existed. I mean,
like strategy and tactical game about
yes,
it, where
and
you're kind of like, this is fun.
I think I've always shied away from tactical games, and I think that's what put me up. But then I played it, and like, not only am I a Fire Emblem fan now I'm like, okay, I want to explore some more of the good games of this genre.
The tactical RPGs.
Yeah.
Yeah, what's the
That's been the fun of this whole experience of me playing just different kinds of games.
Isn't a big one also that Final Fantasy Tactics? That's a big one.
I've heard, the same guy that was really recommending this one is a big fan of the Tactics game. So
I've heard that there's a lot of love of that.
Yeah.
At the time, I bought one for PSP, Final Fantasy Tactics, way back in the day.
Yeah.
And I think that it was the wrong time for me to have bought it. I don't think I gave it its fair shake.
Totally. That's most of these games I'm playing now. Is like a younger me just didn't get this.
No, I played it. Characters died. I got mad. I didn't understand the slow pace of it all, and I'm just like, nope, this isn't mine.
I think it would feed you very well now because I
think I'm into it. Yeah.
I totally couldn't. Like, I'd be constantly, any chance I got, just pull out my fucking DS. Swords crawling in a safe space. I'm like, I got 5 minutes to maybe win this battle real quick.
If you want an old school tactical recommendation that you can actually play on your phone because there is an app for it now. They've done that with a lot of those old games. They've turned them into games on my phone. They turned them into apps, and like you can now get Shining Force, kind of the same way you can get like Chrono Trigger and some of those other older ones. You can get Shining Force on your phone, and it is a much more simplistic tactical RPG, but at its heart, it still is. You're going through it, and I remember it fondly. I can't tell if it's because it was good or because it was nostalgia, but I would always push it and be like, I don't know, if you're into tactical RPGs, give it a shot.
I'm certainly more into them now than I have ever been in, and it was really thanks to this game. And I'll tell you one other thing. I don't play a lot on my 3DS, and turning the 3D up on this game, I forgot just how like neat of a feature the 3D on the 3DS is. Especially on the new 3DSs where they like mastered the camera to follow your eye. Yeah, this game is especially for a 3DS game, the cutscenes and like the 3D, the way it looks, the battles themselves, gorgeous. Just fun to look at. And you can speed through them if you want to. Like if you hold A, the battles on the screen go really fast. You can even hit start and skip the whole thing. It just shows you how it ends. Sometimes you lose patience, so you do that. But like if you just watch, you're just gifted to this fun for a game that's very like the same thing over and over and over and over and over until it's over. It's mixed up enough that it's like I'm having fun every fucking time.
That's cool. I mean, like I said, I'm now like re-looking them up. I want to play one now, and I just finished a game vastly different than what we're talking about, and I'm kind of in a lull right now. I was thinking about going back to that Star Wars spaceship game that came out a couple of years ago. What was it called?
I think I know the one you're talking about.
I have it downloaded on my Steam Deck right now.
Because it was free, right?
No, I think I paid for this.
Oh, really?
It was called... Not Starfighter, that's the one for like PS2. Somebody's out there saying this out loud, but I can't remember what it was called.
I feel like I should be the one saying it out loud.
Squadrons, Star Wars Squadrons.
Squadrons.
It came out.
Yep.
It came out in 2020 actually, and I was thinking about replaying that, but I don't know. Maybe I might be switching over to a Fire Emblem game. I do have a lot of like plane travel coming up here, and Switch is fucking key on that thing. So
Yeah.
nice.
I could go probably on and on. Like I didn't even get into like you can upgrade your weapons, upgrade your magics. There's mages, there's
Can
cures.
You like promote? Can you promote characters?
You can master class characters. You can also change, like, there's certain characters that, like, if you don't like the class they are, you can just change their whole class. Yep. There's items that do that. You know, they have sales at the certain shops, so you go to the sales shops, get better items, weapons. I mean, and also, like, during the battle, sometimes there's like chests on the field if you get a key to unlock a chest, but the enemy can also unlock the chest, so you got to try to get to those before them. And I ended up getting a character who could just pick locks, so like she opened, and she was a badass. Her name was Anna, and she actually lived the whole game. Well, not the whole game, I can't say that. This is how the game ended for me. The whole time I'm playing this game, I'm like, I'm doing everything I can to keep people alive, because when I get to the final battle of this game, people are just gonna
fodder.
They're fucking done. And that's what happened. Like, literally, it was down to 2 people and my character, and we finally went. But the rest of my party died. And
Can
it's
you
kind
imagine
of funny
all of the ending cutscenes you missed out on just because fucking everybody's in the grave?
Yeah, well, because the game ends, it, like, does credits, but then it goes back to, like, and there's this dialogue between Crom and then, like, I would assume all the rest of the character, like, because your character technically dies, but then comes back. But while they're dead, it's Crom and who I'm assuming are the rest of the characters that survived to say something nice about your character. But it was just Crom and the one bitch, and then it cut. And I was like, I feel like this would have been a more emotional scene, and more people were here to talk about it.
Well, they didn't have anything nice to say because you sacrificed them.
Well,
so.
yeah,
you just Yoshi'd them into a gap so you could get a jump off.
I didn't want it to go that way, but it had to be done. And I did everything I could to keep them all alive up to that point, so they should be happy. Because a lot of people did not make it to the end of the game. Fucking Frederick. Frederick.
Super Mario speedrunning and Super Mario hacking, there's a concept where Yoshi is not a companion, he is a tool to level design. And one of the big reasons they use him is for your ability to jump off of him and jettison him down below and you forward with momentum in Super Mario Bros. So there's this concept where when you're using teammates and others as fodder for your gain, you Yoshi'd them because you just threw Yoshi down a gap so you could make it to the other side.
I Yoshi'd the fuck out. I mean, I didn't for the longest time. You know what I mean? They were like my family.
You tried to keep Yoshi alive.
I tried my best. And it's not like I just sacrificed them to their death. They went down swinging. But I let them die as opposed to turning the game off.
They did go down.
They did go down. We lost a lot of good men and women out there, but
that field.
I knew I was going to be done with this game. I was like, I'm not coming back. Like, I'm closing it. I'm moving on to the next game, and I'm currently pretty deep into the next game I've been playing. But I want to finish that one before I talk any more about it. But I've been sitting on Fire Emblem for about 2 weeks now. I finished it, and I've just been dying to talk about it. I had just another pleasant video game experience. Cannot recommend it enough for just people that want to work their brains while they play a pretty fun game.
That's inspiring.
Yeah.
I need to start doing that a little bit more. Playing some games that I'm just like, I did just play this one called The Beholder 2 to be specific. It's really off genre and it's a very weird little game. I'm trying to think what it's actually considered. It's kind of a dystopian future kind of game where you're trying to sabotage your coworkers. Yeah, it's called a dystopian strategy game. It's like you kind of are a player in a, I don't know, pseudo-communist future where everybody's trying to backstab one another for promotions and stuff and to become one of the party leaders. So it's a lot of like puzzle gathering to sabotage but also not get caught and also not get thrown in jail because they throw everybody in jail. And
yeah,
it was goofy. I don't want to I'd highly recommend it, but it's a certain kind of person. But I would have never.
Sounds like an interesting style of game. Yeah.
It's very unique, and like within the game, there's mini games that you have to do because you still have a job. You need to make money, so like you gotta get paid, and you gotta like process forms, which is nothing but bureaucracy in the government, and it's really funny. So. Beholder 2 and
Beholder 2.
Now we're on to just the concept of playing different games, and I gotta figure out a next game. Maybe we'll be back to Fire Emblem.
It's a good feeling, and that's what I mean. This whole past year that I've been doing this, it's been just a lot of fun because like you challenge your norm, your brain, and you're like, am I gonna like this? Is this for me? And then when you love it, it's just like, oh wow,
You're like,
I
I've been
challenged
sleeping
myself
on this for so long.
and I'm rewarded. Like so many of my favorite games, like dude, I can't say enough good about Baldur's Gate 3, but like 2 years ago, if you would have showed me this game, I'd been like, no way, not for me.
Feel that
And
way
I love
about your love of those kind of Metroidvania games too. Like you're really into like the Ori and stuff like that. Or Ori,
Those have
sorry.
always been some of my favorites. Yeah.
So
I dig
was that
those
like
ones.
something you've always known you liked, or was that something you stumbled upon and you're like, oh shit, this is actually
No,
cool too, like
that's-
Fire Emblem?
No, that's one I've always
Okay, okay.
Because I've been playing those since I was.
But you like
kid.
Metroid. You played Metroid
Yeah.
games.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Castlevania, like so. I've always known I like those, and I think you're also rewarded there because now we're at a time where like every game like that is so fucking good, so fucking good.
A new one just came out from a local YouTube guy that published it. What was it called? Animal Zoo? Is that what it is? No. What is it called? Animal something. Animal Well. Animal Well. And this one looks pretty cool. I don't really play these games. I played that one that I told you
Blasphemous.
about. Yeah, Blasphemous. I played that one because I thought the premise was super interesting, but it wasn't really my style. This one, again, not really my style, but it looks absolutely gorgeous. I'm going to send this to you because you need to check this one out.
Yeah.
Absolutely gorgeous.
Those are my. Those Metroidvanias are my.
And what I
know.
thought
They're
was
like
absolutely
my
incredible about this
McDonald's.
is that it's one guy developed this entire game, and it's highly detailed. It's got like a bunch of mini side quests that you can stumble upon, like any good exploring kind of side scroller Metroidvania. It's got missions and puzzles and the whole nine. And like I said, it's really pretty looking. One dude did this.
One dude, wow. Those are those sleeper hits, those indie sleeper hits like Hollow Knight and
what's the other one that
this one
everybody
called
loves?
again?
Stardew
Animal.
Valley. Stardew Valley is not like really my style of game, but Stardew Valley has such a following, and it was developed by one dude, and people fucking love it.
Yeah, they do. I am not one of those people, but
I don't know. Maybe that could be your
Braden the
game
Brad
too,
Neal's there.
because
He
you
loves
know people love it.
And maybe it's just me holding myself back from playing games that, like, I've shit on the fucking Animal Crossing games my whole life, but I'm telling you what, I am picking up a copy of that basically Hobbit Animal Crossing game that's coming out, the one where you just
The Shire one?
fucking peace in the Shire. You bet your ass I'm getting that game, and I'll probably love the shit out of it.
I could use a cozy Shire game. Oh my god!
Dude, after the fucking games I've been playing, yeah, I could use a just
the ultimate
build my
serotonin
house.
boost.
Oh,
Just
dude,
chilling.
do the dishes, make the fucking 10 meals a day.
They're like, why do you
Party,
like this
drink.
game? It's just your life. And I'm like, it's so much better.
I can't wait. Comes
I'm
out
not
in
a
December.
hobbit.
I'm taking the whole week of Christmas and New Year's off. I'm gonna play the fuck out of that game. On my Switch.
How much time you taking off for Grand Theft Auto 6? A day, maybe two. How much
Yeah,
time you
a day,
taking off
maybe
for the
two.
Shire? A month.
I'm gonna go live in the Shire. It'd probably work
me?
there.
I quit my
so.
job for life. I'm gonna just live in the lifestyle.
Abso-fucking-tivolutely, dude. I love my job, but I'd go live in a hobbit hole for sure. Oh, I love taking days off of work for video games. It's so thrilling. I don't do it enough these days, but
Yeah, comes at a price.
you gotta pick your best ones.
It's true. I don't know if I've
3
had
will always be my champion.
I don't know if I've had a game in a long time. Like I could definitely see that for Grand Theft Auto 6, but I don't know about any games recently where I've been like, I'll take off and play this.
I've thought about it with some games. For me now anymore, it's like just a time saver type of thing. Like, should I take a day off to play this because I won't get a chance to play it?
To the extent that you want to play it, like that's the thing. It's like, well, if I take a day,
Yeah.
I get that dedicated time.
Yeah.
Fair.
Yeah. And you get lucky, man. With Kingdom Hearts 3, I took I think 1, maybe 2 days off, and I ended up getting the whole week off because there was a blizzard that killed a bunch of homeless people that week. So, like, you know, I waited 13 years to get the game of my dreams, and God was like, hey, take the whole week, Chase. Take the whole fucking week. Your life's about to get nuts after this, so take the whole week.
Expense of your homeless people.
Yeah. It was cold. It was definitely
year
a
was
cold
that?
week. 2019.
Oh.
January, end of January.
Oh, okay. All right.
Greatest, what I consider to be in some ways one of the greatest weeks of my life. Well, usually when other people suffer is where I thrive. COVID, that winter day, like a lot of things happen that like everybody's like,
A lot of
this
people
is
die,
awful,
but it
and
all,
I'm like,
you're kind of doing the alchemist thing. You're just kind of sacrificing the humans
equivalent
for your
exchange.
philosopher stone of happiness.
Yeah,
I think that's
and
fair.
I mean, it was unhappiness around those situations, so like it was my turn.
What about me?
What about me? Don't kill me.
How
but...
do I make this about me?
Yeah, that's how we ended up with this podcast.
There you go. I mean, to be fair, there you go.
It's a team effort.
How do I get people to listen to how cool I am?
I just get people. It's not even me. I just get more interesting people like yourself or Braden and whoever else.
I mean, to be fair, what is it about just cataloging your friends and getting them all to say cool shit on your behalf, and then you can be like, look, I got cool people.
My whole life has been collecting people that can do things that I can't do.
If you can somehow apply that position to like a startup, you would be the greatest CEO ever, because that's all CEOs do. They just get people smarter than them to surround them and make a company work. You're halfway there. You got the team.
That's how my existence with my friends basically works.
You got the team. I'm sure you have enough odd skills at your disposal. Now you just need to find the forward motion.
I just got to go to the next level. Because you like take it on a small level. I'm just like, I'm going to have a party at this location. I know my friends will make that party. Like, somebody will build a fire. Somebody will do, like, there will be food. Like, all I have to do is say the spot, and they make it happen. I've just gathered people. One time the porch broke, and Pete, Jared, and Christian just got together and built new steps that night at the party. They just got saws and tools, and I was like, those are my fucking man friends. They do this stuff. I don't, but they do.
Wouldn't know the first thing about it, but I know people who do. And I make sure I keep, I don't know what I do. I keep hosting locations for them to be.
Yeah. I can't do much, which is why I have them.
That's fair. See, all you need is that like forward momentum idea, and you've already got your brain trust. You're ready to go.
And here it is.
And here we are.
This is the best I got right now, and I'd be happy if it worked. It's working enough for me.
It's the forward momentum. It keeps you interested, and you got people who are willing to help you out. That's all that really matters at the end of the day.
True that. That's a beautiful message to wrap off this episode. Did you have any other new nerd shit, or was that?
I was thinking towards the end there, not anything real on brand. I mean, I mentioned the video game, but that's about it. Here, I got one for you. I ordered my light kit for Barad-dûr because it was finally released.
Nice.
It doesn't come in until the beginning of September. It was I had to pre-order it. But
so you don't have it yet.
I finally ordered. So I'm so excited.
That'll be
about
nice.
That. It's going to be a pain in the ass. I'm going to hate my life while I'm doing it, but once it's done,
you have to
look great.
Take parts off to put those on.
Yeah, so the instructions, the way that the instructions come is that the step one is the first piece you deconstruct. And then it tells you how to tear it all back down. You get it down to wherever they're hiding the wires or running the cables or however it is. And then they tell you, okay, now you did that. Here are the parts that you took off, and here's the order you have to put them back on to hide the cables. But man, there's so many little every frame gets a diode. You tuck the diode behind the frame. You know how you insert flames into little upside down single cups?
You bet I do.
Right, so you have to run a diode up behind it and then push the flame into the little cup without bending the diode. God. It hurts you need tweezers.
Barad-dûr, it's fucking built on a tower of flames.
It is. I know, everything is red at the bottom, and I saw they released the trailer of what it looks like when the lights are installed. Absolutely gorgeous, but everything's flickering. Everything has diodes behind it. It's going to take me probably two times the amount of time that it took me to put it together to redo it. Obviously, it makes sense to tear it apart and rebuild it, but just then to light everything. The Palantir expands out from this little hidey hole. It glows, I saw in the preview. So somehow they're riding.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and, I'm looking at
I give you a lot of credit, man.
But it's going to look sick when you walk into my basement and all of a sudden these two things come on, Rivendell and Barad-dûr, and they're glowing in my corner.
It was cool enough to see Rivendell. Yeah. I can't wait to see Barad-dûr in person. You're cooking up a great little collection.
I do. I'm only going to keep it to the Lord of the Rings ones. I'm going to hold it back. But yeah, that's the only thing I can say that I could close out with. It's coming.
That's a good one. Lord of the Rings. Can't get enough of that. You watch Rings of Power?
I did not. No, I heard too many people tell me it was long and boring, so I never took into it.
I think you should watch it. I liked it enough.
Okay. I mean,
And
that's probably
season
fair.
2 comes out soon, and the trailer for season 2 looks fucking exceptional.
Nice. Okay.
So,
well,
not that says anything, but I like season 1. I think season 1 does a lot of things. I like a lot of things that people didn't like about it, and I don't know, maybe that's just me. But I thought it was
that
good.
gives me faith that I'll probably have more kinship with it than others, because all I heard was it was boring, and I was like, okay.
A lot of people online, a lot of people, and maybe everybody's different. Like people I know even said like the Harfoots, which are the hobbits basically, they didn't need to be a part of it. Like they didn't matter, and I was just like, I love the Harfoot stuff so much, because like, did it have anything to do with like the overall story of everything else going on in the show? Kind of little bit, but not really. I just loved how well they nailed the hobbits, and hobbits just doing like, and not just hobbits, but like these hobbits that are like on the road. You know what I mean? They're like,
dude, you can't keep recommending things. The amount of tabs I have open that I have to look into now, it's like,
I really enjoy. The things that really worked for the show worked pretty well for me.
Nice.
There are boring parts, there are slow moments, but I liked it, and I'm excited for season 2. And I cried at one of there's a part where like hobbits are just singing, and I'm just like, people can say what they want online all they want, but like these motherfuckers do get Tolkien. The Hobbit is Tolkien's fucking baby. You can't say that the Hobbit shouldn't be in this. It's like they definitely should be. And
I'm looking at the pictures of the Harfoots. This is adorable. I'm gonna have to watch this.
check it out,
Yeah.
man. Check it
Yeah.
out. I think there's only 8 episodes out now, and then the new season starts next
I don't know
week,
where I'm going to
but-
find all this time. I've got Demons of the Shadow
Yeah.
Realm, I got Fire Emblem, and I got Rings of Power.
I just made you a pretty busy beaver.
Oh my
but,
god! Oh wait, and Arcane, We talked about.
yeah, definitely gotta watch that. Yeah, can't go wrong there. That's what I mean. Arcane's definitely better than Rings of Power, but I mean, hey, whatever you're feeling,
Fair
just
enough.
feel it and do it.
Fair enough, man.
That's my advice. Yeah, great. This has been a very successful episode. I've really enjoyed this time.
I appreciate you having me on, man. Always down to shoot the nerd shit.
Yeah. Thank you for doing this. I was really nervous. I didn't know if I was gonna get an episode out, but alas, and I think it's gonna be a really good one. I'm gonna have a lot of fun editing this.
Sick.
So.
Later.
Nice. Well, everybody, thank you for listening. We'll catch you back here in 2 weeks with a new episode. I'm hoping we'll get our High School Musical 2 episode in, but we will see. And on that note, as always, good night, sleep tight, and don't let the shit bugs bite. And I love you.